If someone were to ask you, do you know what your personal financial wealth or net worth is? Would you have an answer for that? A specific number? Or you're kind of unsure what you're actually worth financially? Knowing your net worth allows you to know where you currently stand financially, what your financial goal is, and how do you get there. For example, an individual who has a financial net worth of $100,000 at the moment, and this person has a financial goal of getting to $1 million in 20 years' time. That is a 900K gap to close that needs to be closed within 20 years. So what does this person has to do now? First of all, this person has to determine the percentage growth that his financial net worth has to grow on an annual basis for the next 20 years. And secondly, he has to come up with action plans on how to achieve the annual percentage growth that he has determined earlier. So the next question is, what does financial net worth consist of? What are they made of? This video will give you an idea of what the pieces of financial net worth are. Note that I have simplified the explanations and breakdowns to avoid information overload and potential confusion. So let's start. There are two key components of financial net worth: asset and liability. Assets are basically items that we own, such as cash that can be used immediately, and items that can be sold to receive cash, such as investments and car. On the other hand, liabilities are items that we owe which we must pay off, such as loans and credit card. Basically, financial net worth is total assets minus total liabilities. Generally, these are the asset types an individual usually has: cash, investments, car, and property. For each of these asset types, they could be held in different forms. Cash can be in the form of cash on hand, which is the cash in your wallet, savings account, fixed deposit or FD, EPF, which is the retirement savings fund in Malaysia or any other forms that you have. For investments, they could be held in many more forms. They could be in stocks, unit trusts, mutual fund, gold, foreign exchange, commodities, etc. But for simplicity's sake, I have only listed two here, and they are stocks and unit trust. And of course, car and property are also assets. Liabilities are more straightforward. They are generally in the form of credit card and loans. The common loan types an individual has are housing, car, and student loans. The next thing I will be sharing is whether these assets and liabilities are short-term or long-term based. I'd like to emphasize that this video is for personal individual finance and not for accounting or business reporting. The perception of what is short and what is long-term for personal finance is totally up to the individual. It's your personal finance tracking. No one should tell you what you should be comfortable with. For some individual, if there is an emergency, they'll like to be able to react within a week. Like they can sell their assets and get cash immediately or within a week. And so in this example, short term is defined as up to a week, and anything more than that would be considered as long term. For you watching this video, I'd suggest you think about how fast you would like to be able to convert your assets into cash and how comfortable you are with that time period as your short-term period threshold. The short-term period threshold could be 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or even a year. You call the shot. Once the short-term period threshold has been determined, the assets and liabilities need to be categorized accordingly. If you look at the categorization example over here, you may have categorized them differently in your mind right now. Why is there a difference? There are two reasons. Number one, the short-term period threshold that I spoke about earlier that may differ between individuals. And number two, behavioral preferences between individuals. Why do I say that? As a simple example, fixed deposits or FDs, ask yourself this. If you have placed some funds into a 6-month FD and suddenly 3 months into the FD period, you need the fund urgently due to an emergency situation. Things just pop up in life, right? Question to you: would you withdraw the FD and lose the interest earned up to that point? If you would withdraw the FD immediately, then the FD will be short term. Otherwise, it will be considered as long term, provided your short term period threshold is less than 6 months. The same explanation will apply for EPF and stocks or unit trust investments. Some individuals are open to withdraw from EPF account too for health, home renovation, or education purposes. Some individuals are not. They may prefer to not touch EPF savings at all until retirement. As for stocks, unit trust investments, it may not be the wisest thing, but if the individual situation absolutely requires urgent funds, some individuals are open to sell these investments, even if it is at a loss. Of course, there are also individuals who will not sell. There are also individuals who have specific investment funds, with some funds allocated for short-term stocks trading and the rest of the funds for long-term investments. What I'm trying to imply here is that the categorization, again, totally depends on your individuality. There is no one-size-fits-all rule about it. Car and property are definitely long-term, as they would require more time to be sold. Note that I have lumped the own stay and investment properties in the property category as a whole due to its long-term nature. You can, of course, opt to move investment property to the investment category if you prefer. Liabilities are more straightforward. Credit card is short-term, while housing, car, and student loans are long-term. Now, after a long discussion, you must be thinking, why do I care if something is short or long-term? This categorization is important for you to understand if you are able to, number 1, pay off your short-term liabilities, number 2, identify how fast you can convert assets into cash, and number 3, identify the amounts that you are owing in the long run. Identifying long-term liabilities amount can help individuals to come up with future action plans so they can affordably pay off the liabilities gradually. If you would like to know more about how to compute and track your personal financial net worth using Excel, please watch my second video link in the description below. Otherwise, that's all from me for now. I hope you find this video useful. If you like the content, please like the video and share it to your family and friends who may be interested in it or benefit from it. Thank you for watching.